I'm Cat. Welcome to my channel. Today we are playing the Lake of Voices. Previously, we learned how Kika is Kika the Steadfast, Bimley is just Bimley, and there is a Garvin the Exemplar. And this is Margaret, the person who is a civilian, I guess. So there is almost a war breaking out with our allies, so we're going over to help them out so said war doesn't happen. In order to do that, we have to cross a dangerous lake of death and destruction. This person also wants to cross the lake, but she gets to go there first, so she says. So yeah, we're just kind of waiting for the guide at this point and see what's going to happen, if we all get to go or if none of us get to go or if only her gets to go. We'll see. And yeah, that's where we left off. Let us continue.
My town, the one where I was born at least, was also Garvin's hometown. I was very young when he passed. The entire village went into mourning. People broke down crying in the streets. I'll never forget it. He meant much to everyone who knew him.
So, kind of like celebrities passing away and whatnot.
Oh, I have no such connections. I merely read about it.
Well, that sounded off. She pauses, seeming to scan the air in front of her, or something to say.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Well, it's not like he was a family member. He was probably a role model, so probably meant something. I assume the family felt worse, but thanks.
It's all right. Thank you.
Metal may have taken pride in Garvin the Exemplar and what he achieved, but we weren't the ones who lost the most. That would be his family. See? We each remain locked inside our own thoughts. Not another word passes between us. Ooh, there's an actual light in the distance. That's cool. Eventually, a small light appears on the bridge ahead, getting gently swaying through the foggy air. It gets closer and closer until it becomes apparent it's a figure carrying a lantern. That must be the guide. Although I can't shake the ghostly aura it gives off. The figure steps onto the shore, but we wait for him to approach us instead of going to meet him. None of us are sure how close to the waters we can get before it becomes unsafe. Before it is no longer safe. He stops in front of us and simply stares.
Are you the guide of Sinlos?
I sure hope so. The man nods. He has a sharp face and weary eyes.
Well, that's grand. We would like an escort across the lake.
Emily motions to the two of us, and Margaret approaches, a strange smile on her face.
Hello, it's good to see you again. I'm ready to cross, as we've agreed upon.
The guy turns to face her as well. Lost. That's a lot of faces in a sentence. Face remaining unchanged. It must not be a lie. He would have had to say something otherwise. She really does have preference to travel with him. That's a problem.
Is there a way we can all begin the trip tonight?
Yes, I will allow all 3 of you to go. But with that many, at least one will die before we reach the other side.
Question. Is it one of the 3 or one of the 4? You know, I just need the specifics on the likelihood of my survival. I furrow my brow. It's a disturbing addendum, and one offered with little emotion attached. Bimley glares back, asking without asking what we're supposed to do with such circumstances.
You should go around.
The sentence hangs in the air, the second half unspoken. If you want to live.
We don't have time for that. There are people counting on us for protection. Why does she need to go?
No, maybe she has family over there. Maybe someone needs her protection. Or something. We don't know her life. He jerks a finger at Margaret, whose face contorts with anger.
I don't need to explain myself to you. My journey has already been put off once, and I was promised I could go today. I will be going under any circumstances.
Dun dun dun. She meets Bimley's eyes with a gaze of steel. He starts to speak, and she cuts in.
An extra day or 2 shouldn't be that much of a problem for you. Whoever you're meeting can surely wait such a tiny amount longer. Patience is a virtue, after all.
Okay, not when war's involved, but also could we say the same thing about you, Margaret? Even though we don't know what you're doing either. Just saying.
The night is only so long, and if we're still on the bridges when the sun comes up, we'll all die as they sink back below the surface.
Well,
if you don't decide soon,
great.
no one will be going.
The guide is dispassionate, stoic. I would almost feel something wrong with him if I didn't share this trait myself. Bimley pulls me to the side, jaw clenched tight.
That woman isn't armed.
We're not attacking an unarmed person who is a civilian as we are guards. This is wrong. His voice is low. He darts a glance at Margaret.
We can easily get her to back off if we make this into an actual fight. After all, we have to go tonight, yes? If one of us really is to die, it'll be her. Would staying be a worse fate than her death?
Or she'll fight back and she'll end up dying anyways. I stare at the dock, refusing to meet Bimley's eyes, and try to keep my voice as level as possible.
We don't know her situation. This isn't a decision we can make for her.
What?
We don't know her situation. This isn't a decision we can make for her. Bimley leans in closer, apparently having missed what I said. I remove the sympathy for her in my response when I speak again.
The guide won't accept something like that, I assume.
His face is grim.
Then what else do you have in mind?
First of all, you and I cannot split up. Either we both stay, or we both go.
Okay, cool. Good to know.
Right. That's not a question.
I cross my arms. A hand on my chin. I have full confidence in my abilities and in Bimley's. But there's no reason not to believe the guide knows exactly what he's talking about. If we go, he might not be able to give the group the attention we each deserve. That would mean we truly would be putting Margaret's life at risk on top of our own choice. Oh, it's time. I believe we should go. Say nothing. Yeah, we're going to make a choice. However, I wanted to read both of those out loud. I guess we'll go. I feel like if we don't go, then we'll go off of Margaret's path. Oh, did I do that? Oh.
And I believe you.
That's not what I said, but sure. Bimley's reply is firm. My steadfastness seems almost weak in comparison to its certainty. He addresses the guide.
We shouldn't waste more time. Let's shove off.
The guide slowly turns around without even a nod to show us agreement. Margaret stares at Bimley and me, something of a resolve in her gaze. Then she follows after the guide. At least she didn't insist we stay behind.
We should do what we can to protect her. It's our fault she's being put in even further danger.
Exactly my thoughts. We will take care of everything. Maybe I'm being naive, but I have no intentions of letting anyone fall victim to this lake tonight.
Okay,
Those
so
monsters can starve.
that's not going to happen. The game has already reassured me that at least one person will die. So, someone's going to die. And also, you were just talking about trying to bully her into staying behind. So clearly, your thoughts aren't exactly, yes, also protect the civilian. I bet you'll push her into the water. Also, if I have to choose, I'm going to choose her over you, Bimley. Sorry. He turns to follow the others across. I will protect everyone on this trip. I will. We will make it through this. Oh, if only knew. Then I step onto the dock and join them. I get an achievement for that. As soon as I step onto the wood, the temperature drops. The light of my lamp shines against the water's surface as reflective as a mirror until we reach land again. Death is only one small mistake away. We fall into line with the guide leading the way. Margaret stays close to him, and I behind her, watching to make sure she doesn't slip on the slick wet wood. Bimley brings up the rear. Is that supposed to be the sound of our lanterns? I hope not. That's a not fun sound to hear all the time while you're making a dangerous trip. Just imagine this tense situation. Squeak, 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 squeak. And also, this part looks a bit more stable than the one that we saw earlier, right? And there's lots of little paths. Why are there so many paths? Seems like a lot. Each of us hold out our lanterns in front of us, but it does little good. The fog is thick and night impenetrable, consuming the light as if it hungers for it. Above the surface of the lake, it's deathly quiet. No longer is there the whispering wind, not the sound of water lapping against the shore. It's just our own mismatched footsteps and the sound of my quickening breath. Ooh, another. Is this the sky? Or is this the water? Is this like a... Wait, this is very pretty. I guess creepy, but pretty. My eyes drift back to the lake again. Against my better judgment. It's no wonder there's not even the sound of water. With how still the surface is, it seems almost sturdy, with the sheen of a black marble floor. I've heard rumors the waters of Similos is heavier, more difficult to disturb than natural water. That just the weight of its oppressive cling is enough to keep someone down, even without them. Them who? Them the monsters? Them the Nixie? Or are the Nixie monsters? Something even darker than the abyss of the lake flickers just beneath the surface. Or at least, I think it does. I turn my gaze to Margaret's back. It's better to stay focused.
Fall back a bit. You're following me too closely.
I get it, personal space. The guide is looking over his shoulder, addressing Margaret.
I'm sorry.
If someone gets pulled into the lake, they'll instinctively reach for anything to hold on to. Do not let that be you.
Question. Are you saying you don't want to fall into the lake and reach for her, taking her down with you? Or are you saying something's going to reach for her and you don't want her to take you down with her? Which one are you worried about? The guide? Do you have a name? Or is your name really Guide? Margaret's shoulders rise, and she nods with great seriousness.
I understand. Thank you for the advice.
He ignores her gratitude.
You can speak amongst yourselves if you so choose, as long as you pay attention to where you're going. There is no worth in listening to the sounds out there.
Are they saying things like, "Come into the water, we have cookies," and then we're just like, cool, and we jump in? Is that what's happening?
If there's anything at all, it'll only be Nixie trying to set you on edge.
Is it just the Nixie, or is there other things?
All right. Then, could you tell us your name? You didn't have a chance to properly introduce yourself, and I've only heard you being referred to as the guide.
Is he going to say something? I told you, feel free to talk amongst yourselves. I did not say you could talk to me or something like that.
I don't have a name.
Oh, cool. He actually responds. He doesn't have a name. He's facing the front again. His voice is as expressionless as before. I have no way of guessing how he feels as he says this.
Oh.
Can we name you? Can we give you a nickname? You could also go by something like Nanashi. That basically means the same thing. Anon, like anonymous. You could have just given yourself a name. Take your fate into your own hands or something. It's probably not something he wishes to talk about. However, there was something else I wanted to say, so changing the subject is not difficult.
Margaret, thank you for allowing us to join you.
Yeah, it was pretty nice that she didn't insist that we stay behind. Margaret shrugs nonchalantly, non-committedly.
It wasn't exactly up to me. The guide said he would take you.
I mean, the guide said that he would take us, but one of us would die, so... And I'm sure if she really, really didn't want us to go, he probably would have taken her and not us. And so I feel like this is the kind of guy who's like, once I make a promise, I keep my promises. Sort of thing. She hesitates, and then she looks tentatively over her shoulder at me.
But thank you for saying that. It's appreciated.
See, I feel like Margaret's probably not that bad of a person, but there's still time.
Bemele and I will do our best to be an asset on this trip, rather than a burden.
That's nice. I'm not afraid to be out here, though. Still, at least with your training, you should be able to take care of yourselves.
Yeah, you'd think so, hopefully. I admire her resilience. It's comforting to know that everyone here is so confident in their abilities. Not enough to forget how terrible it feels to be over this lake. I am not sure if that is fortunate or unfortunate. Believing yourself to be secure doesn't mean that you are. Oh, great. Right on cue. Creepy voices. As the conversation lulls, a new sound breaks through. It's the whispering noise again. It's the chatter of inhuman voices, and thus time coming and time and this time coming from all around us.
Taking care of yourself is exactly what you need to do.
Okay, cool. Good to know. The guide is speaking again, except louder, as if to cover the Nixie's voices with his own.
Work to survive at all costs, and hope that everyone around you has enough sense to do the same. That's the only way you'll make it to the other side.
Okay. Margaret nods in response, but I hear a grunt from behind me.
Groups tend to go further when they work together to achieve the same goal.
The guide doesn't say anything in response to Bemile's arguing either. I'm not sure whether he didn't hear Bimile or whether he just didn't feel the statements made thus far. What? Feel the statement made thus far are worthy of addressing. I have a feeling it's the latter. I mean, he probably knows what he's talking about. I bet he's made this trip many a times. So if he says things like 3 of you going, 1 of you's going to die, 1 of us is probably going to die. And if he says things like, worry about yourself first and hope everyone else will, because otherwise you will die, then it's probably true too. We go around a large bend in the bridge. Part of it forking off to another way. Are we gonna have to make a choice? Okay, not yet. We don't have to make a choice yet. That's cool. Well, we will end this episode here. We will see where the fork in the road takes us, or if we have to make a choice about the fork in the road in the next episode. I am Tato Cat. If you have a like, comment, and subscribe, have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon,